Hi, my name is Noma. Welcome to episode 5 of Noma's Designer Diaries. So in this episode, I'll be sharing the spring and summer items that I'm working on. And more than anything, I'll be sharing with you how I'm approaching this collection this year. So I've done summer designs in the past before. As some of you may know, and those that don't know, I live in Johannesburg, South Africa, and we've got more warm months than cold months in the year. So I love knitting summer pieces. But in the past year, I spent so much time just looking at what I actually wear and what I need for the summer. So this collection this year is based on those things that I need for the summer, and most of the pieces are going to be a bit of a surprise because they are not what you expect for spring and summer designs. But I'm so excited about this entire collection, and I'll be sharing everything that I've been working on with you and stuff that's about to jump onto my needles. So starting with what I'm wearing today, is my favorite spring top. Now we're in the fall, so it's quite cold. It's actually too cold for this top here in South Africa, but it's a bit sunny today, which is kind of weird because it was raining yesterday the whole evening and the temperatures dropped. But today it's actually wearable. I think I can pull it off for this recording and dress and wear something warm as soon as I'm done. So this is the Nyakalo pullover. Did I call it a pullover or a top? I think it's a pullover. And the name Nyakalo means joy. So it was, a bright pink, happy color, and it brought so much joy to knit it. That's why I named it the Nyakalo top. So it's a circular yoke pullover, worked from the top down, and when you get beyond the bust line. So what I did, I made sure that I only start the lace once the entire bust is covered, because I didn't want it to be see-through around here. So even if you're just wearing a camisole, which I'm wearing underneath, it's actually excuse me, sorry, it's actually fine, and it's not really too revealing. So you have this lace pattern. I think it's called the arrowhead lace, and I did the same with the sleeves. So because of the way the lace pattern is structured, I didn't want to do decreases, because once I started doing decreases, the pattern was going to be a bit off. So I knit the sleeves straight and just did a tiny little cuff and some rapid decreases here to give it a, it's not really a balloon sleeve, it's a straight sleeve with just some rapid decreases. So as you can see, this is how it looks, and I love this top. I wear it on late spring, because early spring is usually very cold here. Late spring or early summer, it's something that I like wearing, particularly on those lightly cool evenings. That's just ideal. So it's available on Ravelry and Etsy. You can check it out from there. Oh, I used Nurturing Fibres Super Twist sock, and the color is French Rose for this pullover. So I haven't really finished much stuff. A lot of my items are almost done. Like literally, if I had a day or two, I would finish quite a number of them. But I have like all my items as works in progress. The only items that I've finished are part of the Monday to Friday hat collection. I did a separate video, so I'm not going to say much about them. The last video I posted was about the collection. So what I can talk about right now is just showing the items that were not finished the last time I recorded a podcast episode. So the first item is this headband. It's the Levo handbag. Not handbag, why am I thinking about handbags? Headband. So it's worked from the center here, and you start with a provisional cast on, work to one side, do some decreases here in the center, and convert from circular knitting to double knitting. So I did a short reel showing how I do that, so I hope that helps. And then you unzip the provisional cast on, do the same, the side is worked exactly the same way, and you do the double knitted tie bands. So I don't want to mess up my hair right now, but basically you tie it like this, and it covers the ear, and you tie it at the back. So it's very adjustable. So even if you knit it as a gift, it will most likely fit a lot of people and a lot of sizes. I knit this with African Expressions Joy in the color 1033. So African Expressions do not use color names, they use codes. So it's 1033. It's a very beautiful brown. I'd love to knit a sweater with this color. And then what's the next item? Oh yeah, the other piece that I finished, and I was trying to explain what I was doing, but I don't think I was making sense on my last video, is the buhlali hat. So it's this long tube. So it started from this point, increases for the crown, and I worked the entire body of the hat and decreases here. So it's a double layered hat. Let's see. Honestly, it was the most enjoyable project that I've done in a very long time. So I hoped I could get some time and cast on another one in red. I'll just do it in a plain color, not two colors, and just do one in red. I would love to just have some moments to do that. So when it's folded double, it's like this. So what I wanted to achieve here was to have one color on one side, something like this. So to have it looking like this. So to have the black as the main color, because I wanted even the brim to be the same color. So what people normally do is to just do half of the hat in one color and the other half, so that when you fold over, you have the contrast color as the brim. So instead, I made sure that the length of the brim is of the entire brim, like double sections, in the same color, so that it can look like this. I wanted the black to be on one side so I could wear it with any coat in my wardrobe. So when you turn it around and you have it in beige on the side and you fold it over, the brim is black. So the side is double colored. So the other thing that I noticed that I want to do is to do a single color one. I really wanted to do an off-white version and hopefully a red one. I think I can do those over the years. They don't have to be done like right now, because this year I've got quite a number of new hats to wear, so I don't need to add on. But I think over time I'll just have one on my needles that stays whenever in the car, whenever I'm going for school runs, and I have a red one, an off-white, maybe a gray, who knows. But I really would love to have this hat in different colors. It's very comfortable. Unfortunately, I can't put it with my hair tied up like this, but it's quite comfortable. But one thing I love about this more than anything is the stitches. They are so fine and so smooth. So when I did this hat, I wanted to give it that store-bought look. So I knit it on fingering weight yarn. This is Miss Lamotian's. The dark color is Nightmare and the light color is Linen. So I used 2.75 millimeter needles for a very tight knit stitch, and it was so much fun to knit. I honestly thought it was going to be tedious and exhausting, because that's a lot of knitting, but it wasn't. It was quite enjoyable. So I think what you need is, because I used the 60 centimeter circumference, you can even use a smaller one, 50 or 40 centimeters, but 60 felt really good. I think the trick with this one is not to do magic loop and have some ladders or loose stitches. Just find a needle size that's going to fit your stitches perfectly, and you just keep going. I've noticed that it makes a huge difference when I do that, compared to having to pull my stitches around if it's such a huge project like this, because this is very long and you want to be as comfortable knitting it as possible. So the stitches are great. Let me bring it closer. So what's the next thing? So these are the only finished items that I have so far. On my works in progress, there's one that I'm actually probably going to finish later tonight. It's the Emily vest, and it's knit with Nurturing Fibres Eco Cotton. This is the yarn, and the color is so beautiful. I don't have a full ball of yarn with me here, but it's a very beautiful color. I think what I've noticed with Nurturing Fibres colors, like the speckled ones, they use existing colors already to create these ones. So let me show you here. This is there's some dark pink, some light pink, a bit of some beige, and then there is some light orange. It's not very dark, but it's a medium orange rather. And from what I can see, the dark pink is probably the ruby and maybe there's the blossom or the blush, and then there's the fawn, and the orange could be the sun-kissed coral or some other shade, but I think it's the sun-kissed coral. So this vest is worked this way. You start from the top here at the back neck and these ribbed stitches and do the increases all the way down, and the ribbing at the edge is already incorporated into the pattern right from the start. As you can see, it starts right here and you work on it all the way down, and it folds all the way down the sleeve and the sides up to the hem, and it's the same on both sides, of course. When you look at the front, you pick up the stitches over here for the front. Okay, let me show you. Pick up the stitches here for the front, work down, and you're already incorporating this ribbing here, and it's worked all the way down. So I'm done with the front, and it's so difficult for me to show this. I don't know what's the best way I can show it without. Okay, let me hold it like this. So the edging at the bottom is slightly curved, as you can see on the edges. I wanted to kind of soften the look. I didn't want the curving to be too pronounced, so it's just a few short rows, and then it's slightly curved at the bottom like this. And then the neckline is double folded. So mostly I do not double fold my summer knits. Honestly, I think there's something that's irritating my throat. I don't know if it's one of the yarns here, but I didn't have this issue before I sat down to record. But sitting with all this yarn and all this knitting at the same time is really irritating my throat. So I was saying that this is double folded. I made it like this because I didn't want it to just look too light, to feel light, particularly if you're wearing with crisp white shirts or some other heavier items underneath. I wanted it to just hold its own and have this thicker edging, and I think it will help it to last longer without sagging, because this is 100% cotton and it doesn't hold up the way wool or other animal fibers do. So I had it double folded and I crocheted right round at the top when I was actually folding, so it's done simultaneously. And what I like about this crochet edging that you do when you're folding this double is that it makes it very sturdy and very firm. It holds up so well. That's my favorite technique lately, and I add it literally to everything that I'm knitting. You'll see as I'm sharing what I'm working on, you'll see it on every project that I'm doing. It helps it to hold up nicely. So this is the Emily vest. So I'm only left with the back part because it's going to be slightly longer, so I was just elongating it a bit, and then I'll do the same length of the ribbing, so it's going to be slightly longer at the back. And I'm loving this vest. It's probably going to be up for testing before the end of the week, and then it will be live. I'm not so sure when, but on the next episode I'll be sure when it will be live. So it's going to be a quick test, and probably it might be coming out before the end of May. So that's the Emily vest. The next item has been on my needles since last year, March. So this one, I love it, but I'm so tired of this project. I can't wait to be really over and done with, but I'm looking forward to wearing it even more. So this is the Zukhanye dress. It's a top-down summer dress, and I love this. It's made with 100% silk. I'll show you the yarn just now. It's got some inseam pockets, as you can see. That's my favorite feature with this pattern. So the pocket is here, and there's another one on the other side. So it's going to have pockets on both sides. And then there's this feature in the center that I did just to break it up, so that it's not just some stockinette stitch all around, but this creates some interesting detail that one can focus on instead of just the entire width of the body. So it's a nice feature that I really love. And I did this edging again here, even though this is not double folded. I just added this edging to give it some steadiness, and I did it on the armholes as well. So I've spoken about this pattern before, that the initial sample was knit last year, finished, but then I made the mistake of not blocking at a certain point. So when I blocked, the pockets were left somewhere mid-thigh instead of where they are supposed to be, just around the waist. So I had to frog to that point and start afresh, which was a lot of knitting. So I've included this on the instructions because this is currently being tested. Even though my sample isn't done, I was able to share the older sample photos and the progress that I've made right now, and I managed to start the test. So the trick with this one, and the important thing that you need to do in order for your pockets to be in the right place, when you've done your yoke and you've knitted a little bit, wet block it, particularly if you're using summer yarn, because you can never predict how it's going to behave. So the most important thing is to wet block it when it's somewhere there, and not necessarily at the exact point that you want to stop. Wet block it slightly earlier, so you can, so if it has to grow, it might even grow to the point where you want to add your pockets. So when you're done wet blocking, wait for it to dry, be patient with the process, and then you can separate the back and the front and start doing the opening for the pockets, because that position is the most important thing in this dress. Once you get that right, everything is simple. So beyond the pockets, then you do the entire length of the skirt, depending on how long you want. At this point, you can do whatever length you want. Of course, you can't make it like this short, because it will be weird when you're wearing it with the pockets, but I think a few inches will just give it enough length. And the shaping for this dress is A-line, so you start the increases right at this point, right from the underarm. And the other thing I wanted to mention about this is there isn't as much knitting as you would assume. Reason being, I made sure that the back and the front are both scooped, so that you won't have to do a lot of knitting here at the top. So doing these bands doesn't take much time, and I think working to the point of joining in the round can take you 2 evenings, even if you are doing this after work. Just doing the back and the front and joining, you can actually complete this in 2 evenings. And then when you move from this point to the separation of the pockets, there is a bit of some knitting, but most of the knitting that you'll actually do is on the skirt, because you're now just working in the round. But it's not that exhausting, because there are increases every few rounds. So as you're working, you're actually looking forward to something. And then at the back, what I'm going to do with my sample, and what I've done initially, was to do some short row shaping at the back to make it longer than the front. That's how I prefer my clothes generally, because of my body shape. So if you've got wider hips than your waist and your top, it usually helps so that the dress isn't easily carried up to have a longer back. But depending on your body shape, you may not need this, so you don't have to do the short row shaping. It's optional, but if you prefer it, it's a good option to have as well. So this is how far I've gone with the dress. I'm currently at about 6 inches, and I think I'll need to knit up to 15. And since this dress is coming out end of May, I still have plenty of time to actually do the 9 inches that are remaining. So on the last video, I had spoken about the pockets, so I don't think I showed you the pockets just now. So the pockets are like this. You know, they are typical inseam pockets. So the other thing about the pockets that I wanted to mention is you have to follow row by row accounts, because they're not accounts, row by row instructions. Every row is different, or maybe there are a few that are not so different, but mostly you are decreasing and then you increase and then you shape, because this pocket has a very weird shape. I'll just put a photo of the shape of the pocket. It's got a very weird shape. So when you're knitting the pocket section, you need to follow the instructions step by step. And initially I had said I'll do the pockets in fingering weight, because when I did them in this, with the yarn held double, it was looking a bit thick. But I did a little swatch, fortunately, because I thought things might go wrong. I didn't want to do an entire pocket and end up having to frog it again, because knitting it in fingering weight meant it would have taken way more time. So I did a small swatch, and when I tried to join it here and seam it, because the fabric was different weights, it just wasn't working out well. It felt like the pocket was going to be pulled too tight and strained, and it was going to be a very weak joint. So I decided not to do that and just put this one in. I think with more washing it's going to be much smoother. As you can see, it's not too bad. Initially I used to think it was, but then it's not bad at all. And for those that are going to be using some wool blend or some cotton blend, or even using some animal fiber, this is not going to be a problem at all, because wool tends to go very flat compared to plant fibers. They can be quite stiff and not very yielding, so you'll be fine if you're going to be using a blend of maybe cotton and and wool, or cotton and alpaca, cotton and cashmere. That would work out just fine. So for this pattern I'm using this yarn here, Purl Soho cattail silk. It's 100% silk that's made in Japan, so it's Japanese silk, and the skeins are very generous. This is 618 yards, and I think it's around 550 meters. So I'm knitting with the yarn held double, so I made a ball like this. Mostly when I'm knitting with yarn held double, I struggle with having two balls all over the place. I do that with the first section when I need to be sure that I'm actually going to finish this project. When I've done the first section and I can see that I'm going to continue, I normally break the yarn and just wind the two together to form one ball. It's easier for me to work that way than to have like two balls attached to my work, particularly when I have to move around and do stuff. So I'm using this yarn by Purl Soho. The color is pale rose, and it's a very beautiful yarn. Of course, animal fibers are quite different, so it feels kind of dry when you're knitting it. It feels dry. It's like you're knitting with I don't know, it feels like pepper or grass or whatever, but it's very strong, so it doesn't, the strength of it is not like paper, of course, but when you're knitting it feels like you're using this very dry substance. I don't mind. I love summer yarns somehow. I think that's an unpopular opinion of mine, but it's quite dry when you're working with it. I'm holding the yarns held double, and I'm using 4mm needles. Initially, when I was doing the swatch, I tried 4.5, but the fabric was going to be too loose and there were going to be some holes in it. As much as I'm going to wear this with a slip dress that's like just about the knee, I didn't want it to be too see-through, and had this been some wool, it may have worked with 4.5, but plant fibers don't tend to hold together and stick together the way wool does, so the fabric just didn't look good. I had to change to 4mm needles, and it works just fine. So as I've mentioned in the past, all the yarn from Purl Soho is sponsored. I didn't pay for it. As I mentioned earlier, I live in South Africa, so buying yarn abroad means I have to literally pay 3 times the price. If I'm buying yarn for $200, I have to pay at least 550, even more than 600 sometimes, with taxes and shipping. So it's always very much appreciated when I get sponsorship for yarns that we do not have access to over here. As much as our knitting industry is growing, we still do not have a lot of yarns. We don't have, or maybe it's there but I've never seen it, but I've really worked with a lot of yarn dyers and yarn companies here. We don't have 100% silk. We don't have 100% linen. We do have the merino linen blends, but we don't have 100% linen unless if it's imported. And the only company that I've seen that was selling some linen, I bought it years ago. I think that was around 2017 or 2018. That was the Yarn Room. They had the Quince & Co. Sparrow. I'm not sure if they still have that yarn now, but it's not so easily accessible here. So 100% linen, 100% cashmere, 100% silk. What else? We don't have yak and all the other fibers that are kind of unique, but we produce a lot of merino wool and a lot of mohair here. So yeah, that's our yarn industry in a nutshell. So mostly I have to rely on sponsorships, and on the rare occasion I have to order yarn abroad, and it's usually a nightmare. So that's the Zukhanye dress with Purl Soho cattail silk. So the next item that I'm working on, that I'm almost done with actually, is this sweater. I still don't have a name for it, and it's almost done, but I need to come up with the name because I've written most of the pattern, but the name is still blank. I'm just hiding out the ends because they are like this on the inside. I haven't woven them in because it's kind of easy to hide them when I'm taking photos of my progress. So this is the striped sweater. Let me hold it up because the body is done. I love the fit of this. I'll include a photo because I took a photo when I was still working on the sleeve. And then the sleeves are like this. And I did the scarf, but I need to make the scarf a little bit longer. I thought the length was enough, but it's not, so I'll make it slightly longer. I think I'll add maybe an inch to this one, and then it will be fine. So it's a very relaxed fit. So I made the cuff cinch in a bit so that it looked more relaxed. I didn't want to leave it super loose because I've got 3 tops that are going to have open sleeves. So I didn't want to make this one open as well. That was going to be too much of the same thing in the collection. So I'm just going to start on the second sleeve. This one is also getting on testing this week. So it's the vest and this pullover that's going to be tested this week. I love the fit. As you can see, it's oversized, and the stripes, you know, a blend of very bold colors and very muted colors, and I love the combination of the two. So I'm using Nurturing Fibres Eco Cotton, which is my favorite South African summer yarn. This is the yarn, it's the same one I used for the Emily vest, and I'm using it here again. So this is the main color, and these are the contrast colors. So this one is Fawn, and then this is Sahara, and then this is Anvil. So they've got 4 shades of gray. There's the lightest one called Mist, there's Anvil, then there's Cobblestone, which is quite dark, and then this is Charcoal, the 4th shade. So it's 4 shades of gray. So these shades are included in these 2. So I'm really loving this one. That's why it didn't take so long for me to work on it. I'll probably finish the sleeve this week and be totally done with it. On the next week I'll probably be showing a finished pullover. Maybe I'll be wearing it, I'll see. That's the striped pullover, which doesn't have a name yet. I think the last time I counted my projects that were knit with Nurturing Fibres yarns, I had more than 30, close to 40 projects. So that's how much I love the yarn. And this is also Nurturing Fibres, by the way. As I mentioned, this is their super twist sock yarn. The color is French Rose. Okay, I got a needle here, I don't know why. So the last item, so as you can see, I've shown 3 items on my needles. The last one, because I'm trying very hard not to have too many things on my needles, is this top, which also doesn't have a name. It's a summer top, and I'm loving it. So this is how it, let me put something so that this needle doesn't make noise. So this is also worked from the top down. I started to take the back neck and did this European shoulder construction. So it goes this way, and I was doing increases. So the interesting thing about this top is that the sleeve is incorporated. So that's why this line is so long. Mostly it's not this long when you're not including the sleeve, but it's long because the sleeve is also incorporated. And okay, I've already folded this and sewn it down. As you can see, I had to seam here on the underarm because I bound off some stitches and seamed the underarm and just continued with the body in the round. And the other interesting feature is the sleeve edging here. So on this side I did double knitting, and when I picked up the sleeve edging, and it's folded over and seamed here. So when you're wearing it, it's going to look like this. So it's got this very nice classy finish, and it gives it, you know, a more dressier t-shirt look, which is what I was going for with this pattern. So on the other side, I actually just worked it in the round. I picked up the stitches, worked in the round, and folded over without doing the double knitting. The difference between the two options, this took me almost 2 days, the double knitting side, and this took 1 evening, and they look quite similar. I think the double knitted stitches look slightly larger because of the slipping, but they look almost the same. And I'll probably have to unravel one of them when I'm done with the project. I'll see which one I like, but most likely I'll unravel the double knitting. And then the body, okay, the neckline, I need to fix it because I think when I was getting to the end, it wasn't so straight anymore. I have to redo the neck. I have to refold it. So I did it like this. It's also just picked up the stitches, did stockinette, folded it over, and did the crochet edging. As you can see, I did this crochet edging that's on all the other pullovers that I've done, whether it's folded or not. Remember here on this one, I think I forgot to mention it. This is not a double folded neckband, but I just did it as some surface crochet, and it really gives it that nice polished look because you don't see where you picked up your stitches. And I also did it with this edging here, but I need to fix it. This is the back, so that's why I haven't threaded the elastic in yet. I need to fix this, and then I'll include the elastic. So that's the neckband, so it's going to be like this, and I'll do the body. And the one thing that I want to add as well is a patch pocket in this dark color. I think it's going to look great. And I can feel my voice going again. There is some yarn here that's irritating my throat. I can't tell which one it is. So the yarn that I used here is Purl Soho Cotton Pure, and the main color is brown date, so it's this corn. I've actually used a lot of the yarns. This is the yarn Cotton Pure, and I think a little goes a long way because this is 2,789 yards, and that's about 2,500 meters. So I'm going to do a 3/4 sleeve top with the remaining yarn. So basically I probably got a t-shirt, and I'll get another 3/4 sleeve top out of it, maybe a scarf later, because I did a scarf with the same yarn sometime last year, but it was in the color Peach Peony. It was just a single skein, and I love that scarf as well because it brings color on cool days when it's not so cold. It's not a cold weather scarf since it's 100% cotton. So this cotton yarn is sport weight, so I'm using 3.5 millimeter needles on this one. I didn't want to use some thicker needles. I wanted the fabric to be smooth. I don't know if you can see that. So there'll be more to show, I think, the next time I record. Most probably it will be done, and I would have taken some photos with it being modeled. So this is the last item that I have on my needles. So I'll be doing quite a bit of some casting on. As you can see, I've got 2 items that are going to be off my needles in the next few days. So I'll just be left with this top and the dress. And the dress is only coming out in May, end of May. So I'll probably be doing a photo shoot mid-May, around the 20th, maybe 25th of May. No, 25th. Maybe around the 20th of May. So that will mean that I need to be done with the dress by then. I just have to fit it in, maybe do an inch a day. It's only 9 inches left. If I just decide to do an inch a day, I'll just need 9 days to finish it. I might start doing that from the 1st of May. For now, just put it on hold when I'm pushing through the other items that I have on my needles, because this year I've got a lot of ideas for the summer. So I'm doing a lot of knitting. Mostly I just designed 4 or 5 items, but this year I'm doing more, and I'm so excited about doing a lot more than what I normally do. So I want to have a lot of new stuff this summer. Last year I only did 4 summer tops and 2 were sleeveless, so I'm looking forward to more summer items. So the item that's currently in hibernation is this one. I don't have a name for it either, but I'm almost done with it. I just need the sleeves. So the button band is done, the body is done, and it's a settle shoulder cardigan, but I need to knit the sleeves. So I wanted to start on the sleeves. Initially this was going to be like a spring cardigan, but I was a little late working on this. I realized that if I have to finish at least one sleeve and start the test, by the time it's ready, it's going to be mid-June, and since I wanted it for the spring, it wasn't just going to work out. So I'd rather work on it now and knit it now and actually put it on hold now and knit it when we're closer to the fall. So I'll probably at least knit one sleeve in July, and then I'll do the test end of July, beginning of August, so that it's ready in September. I'll be launching it as an early fall pattern. So things don't always go according to plan, as I mentioned earlier, and that's what I want to be sharing now, that stuff gets pushed around. Some of my summer items might have to be put on hold until next year or be launched when they're off season. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, so you never know. So that's all that I have. I'm only working on 4 items, and I think that's going to help me to record more often, because if I don't have too many things, there's always something happening. But when it's too many items, you sometimes want to record and realize that I've only knit like 2 inches on each item and there isn't really much to talk about. So I'm going to record probably next week and talk about the stuff that I would have finished and some new cast-ons. So there are items that are coming up that I'll be working on. The first one is this top that I'll be doing with this linen yarn. So this is 100% linen by Purl Soho. It's called Blackbird Linen, and this color is bottle green. So the color is bottle green. I love this color. I don't normally knit with green, but I love the dark shades of green or the muted shades of green. So I have wound just one skein, and that's how I normally do it with linen. I normally wind 1 or 2. As you can see, this ball is literally falling apart. So what I'm going to do is to wind it up like this one. This is the same yarn but a different color. I've only got one skein of the color. I think I received it some time back as a sample. The color is Natural Flux. So I initially wound this into a ball and it was falling apart. So I decided to, as you can see, it still does kind of fall apart even if it's a ball, but it's much better. It won't get as tangled as it does when it's in a cake form. This is disastrous. Once you put it in a project bag, I've only had it on my desk, so it's not a problem. But once you put it in a project bag and it starts falling apart, you will lose a lot of yarn, or you'll have to spend so much time untangling it. So the interesting thing about this project that I'm going to be doing is that it's a lace summer linen top with long sleeves, but it's going to be knit in pieces. At least the body will be knit in pieces. I'll pick the sleeves and knit them in the round. There's no way I'll do everything in pieces. That'll be yeah. So I'll just knit the body in pieces, because linen tends to grow and sag, and I do not want to take chances. I love linen yarn. It's literally my favorite summer yarn, but I do not want to take chances with it and have a sagging top. So I'll knit it in pieces and seam the sides and the shoulders, and then I'll pick up the sleeves and knit them in the round. I can deal with sagging sleeves but not sagging body, but most likely the sleeves are going to be slightly shorter than the wrist. They're going to be maybe bracelet length, so there'll be room for them to grow if they have to, but the body is definitely going to be seamed. But what I'm going to do, since I'll be knitting in pieces from the bottom up, I'll also write the pattern for the option to work in the round from the bottom up though, because top down is totally different. But with working flat or working in the round from the bottom up, the instructions are roughly the same. So I'll write the instructions from the bottom up. Since it's a lace design, if I do a top down option of the instructions, that will mean it's almost like totally a different pattern because the construction will be completely different. But if it's from the bottom up, then it's not going to be that different. I'll be starting on this one probably before my next recording, so you're going to be seeing a little bit of some progress when the recording is done. And then on this off-white yarn, I'm using it here as well, but I've noticed that I'll only use less than 50 grams of this, because when I wound this yarn, it was I just done 100 grams, so I'm not using it that much. As you can see, it's just a few stripes, so I'll probably use the less than this ball that I've got already. So I think I'll do a button down shirt like I mentioned, and 2 sleeveless tops. So whilst I'm working on this, I'll cast on the next item with this yarn. So I'm still deciding whether I should do one of the sleeveless tops with this or do the button down blouse. But since this is going to be long sleeved, I'm thinking of doing the opposite, so that stuff keeps moving much faster than if I just do the same items that require a lot of detail, because the long sleeve top can be done later in the season and be launched in the fall. So that's one of the challenges that you face when you're designing. So of course knitting is a slow process and it takes quite a while. I mean, I've been showing some of these things for months now, and some have been like the dress. I started them last year, so some of the stuff is very long process. But when you are designing as a business, you still need to factor in what you need to launch and how your workflow is. So you have to have some project management approach to this. I think I'll do a video talking about my process on how I manage my designs, because initially on the previous episode I had spoken about starting on the button down blouse even before this, but then I realized that I need to start working on the sleeveless tops right now and the short sleeve tops, because that's what I need to launch in the next few months. The long sleeved items can come in later and be launched in the fall. That will work out just fine. So there's a lot of playing around and changing stuff so that you stay within the seasons and you still have something to launch every month, not have 5 patterns in one month and nothing on the other. So it's a lot of balancing of the work that has to be done. So I think I'll do a video and talk about that specifically on how I manage my workflow. So I'll probably start a sleeveless top here and this one on the next recording. Maybe I'll do another one in charcoal because it's also a t-shirt. I'll see how it goes. So the other items that I'll be working on soon, but I can fit them in depending on how the other projects are shaping, that would have to be maybe later in May, is this bag. This is also Purl Soho. The yarn is plenty and the color is plumeria pink. So I'm knitting a bag with these handles here. It's going to be a cozy clutch bag. So I'm scared of closing this because I don't want to hurt my hands. So yeah, this is one of the bags that I'll be knitting. And the other bag that I want to do is another summer bag using this yarn. This is a South African yarn. I bought this sometime back. This is cotton on, and this is seriously chunky, and it's seriously chunky really. When you're knitting it, you can feel it. And the color is bamboo, but this color has been discontinued. Now they're only left with 5 colors. They've got the off-white, and they've got a very bright white. They've got sage, they've got gray and black. So those are the colors that I've seen on the website. But I had this some time back. I think if you're in South Africa and you're looking for this yarn, some shops may still be stocking some older colors, so just check around. So this is cotton on, seriously chunky. So this is a chunky weight yarn, and internationally I'm sure there are other chunky options. So I had done some linen stitch base initially with this yarn. This is how it looks when it's knitted up, and I wanted to pick up the stitches and do the back, but I realized that this was too wide. The base could have easily been this thin for a reasonably sized bag. I wasn't looking for like a weekend bag or something. It could have been like this and the bag would have been just fine. So I'm now going to do a different construction, I think. And this yarn is hard to knit with. it was quite a struggle. I think maybe the pattern stitch also contributed, but it was a bit of a struggle to knit with it. I'm still gonna knit with it because I'm a project knitter. I want the project. I can go through all forms of suffering just to get the project I want. So it's not that bad, like not dramatically difficult, but I think when you compare it with DK weight cotton yarn, it really puts a lot more strain on your hands than the lighter weight yarns. Of course, I love knitting with summer yarns, but the thicker they get, the more difficult they are to work with and the harder they are on the hands. But either way, I'm still going to do it. I will knit with it, and I'm going to love my bag, and I will not regret going through the process. Probably I'll buy another color and do another bag in the future if it holds up well. That's me and my knitting in a nutshell. I love my projects. I can handle any process that I have to go through to get to the project that I want. And as knitters, we're different. There are people who are more of process knitters. I'm a project knitter. So if you're a process knitter, it's wise not to listen to me when I'm talking about how easy it is to use certain yarns, because you might find it difficult. But I love every yarn out there as long as it gives me a project that I want at the end of the day. So thank you so much for joining me. That's all I have to share today. I'll record again next week because I'll also be launching the Google shirt. So please don't forget to subscribe. And I'll also include links to my newsletter. You'll find special discounts on new launches. Sometimes they go up to 40% depending on the size of the project. Socks can go up to 15 or 20%, and garments can go between 30 to 40%. So you can sign up on the link below for my newsletter. Thank you so much for joining me. See you next time.